Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than the Carolina. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Come on along and welcome aboard TGIF. Thank goodness it is Friday. Welcome Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by the great folks of Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and French Lick Resort and Casino. Open for business. Waiting for you the Super Bowl this weekend. Verdell Jones with us. Back here in the fold. Verdell, how you doing, man?
Jim, doing good. I'm happy to be back. Sorry, missed the last couple of weeks, man. Had to deal with some family issues. My wife's grandmother isn't doing well again, so I had to go take care of that. But happy to be back. Got a lot of things I want to talk about today, so I'm enjoying it. I'm ready to get started, and hopefully it's a good one.
Plenty to get to, man. It's Super Bowl weekend. We got the Super Bowl on Sunday. Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Tom Brady and Mahomes. It's like the passing of the torch. I don't know that thinking back, I don't know that there's ever truly been a situation like that to where Patrick Mahomes is definitely the heir apparent of the future of the NFL, and Tom Brady is still the king. Man, this is an epic. This is a Roman gladiator matchup, man.
It is. I'm super excited, man. It's being able to see over here on this side at least is that house divided. I like Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. My wife is cheering for them, but I'm going with Brady, man. I know my Indiana fans might not like to hear that, but I appreciate greatness while we still have it. And no matter what people want to say about Brady, how much they hate him, you can't knock his greatness, man. We thought it was Bill Belichick and the system of the Patriots, but Brady showed that it's a one-man show kind of. And so I just want to, while we still have him succeeding, man, I love to see greatness. So, if he wins, I'll be ecstatic. If he loses, I'll be happy for Mahomes. But it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be a juggernaut matchup, and I can't wait to watch.
You know what? I haven't even looked at the spread. What's the spread on that game?
I haven't seen it either. I don't know. I say Tampa's an underdog. Tampa Bay was an underdog, I believe.
I would think, but it can't be much. But we'll look forward to that. Basketball last night, man. Another big time Big Ten game. Ohio State and Iowa. Ohio State, man, they are on the rise. But that's what you want to see from a team as the season progresses. Progress, and man, Ohio State is progressing. They're in the top 10. It was a top 10 matchup last night. Number 7, Ohio State. Knocking off number 8 Iowa 89-85. Iowa's lost 3 out of their last 4. Of course, they don't have C.J. Frederick right now, so that's hurting them. But Jack Nungy from Southern Indiana, from Newburgh down by Evansville, 18 points off the bench, leading Iowa. 6'11", dude, knocking down 3-pointers. Man, he's I forget how many he was, but he was 4 of 7 from 3-point. Man, the dude can knock it down, but. Kids from Indiana, that's when it got away. But it's nice to have a 6'11" guy standing out there knocking down 3-pointers.
That definitely helps the game a lot easier. I'm super pleased with EJ Liddell, man. He's an Illinois guy. When I was helping my dad coach Urbana High School, we played him his senior year down in over in Peoria, Illinois, and he was just a monster of a talent, man. So I was always interested to see his development. When he got to college, and he's been polishing nice.
Iowa, like I said, they've lost 3 out of their last 4. Indiana beat them. They lost to Illinois. I think they beat Michigan State, which is not saying a lot right now. But then they lose to Ohio State. How about Ohio State? I mean, you talk about a steady progression. That's exactly what you want to see from a team. Just steady progress over the season, and now they're in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. And they're one of the hottest teams right now as far as how they're playing together, how guys are producing. I think their starting lineup. I think everyone scored double digits besides one person who had 9 points in 19 minutes. So that just shows you that they're getting production from a lot of different sources, and that's the sign of a growing and a dangerous team when you got guys from starting five and even your top seven, giving meaningful minutes and producing.
Yeah, you talk about the Big Ten. It started off, Michigan State was the team, the big team, and then they fell on some hard times, and then Illinois, and they're still good, and Iowa, and then it was Wisconsin, and then it's Ohio State. It's like, gee whiz! It's just like every time you turn around, here comes another heavyweight to knock you eight. So it's crazy to see these teams rise to the top, though. These not just getting good; they're rising to the top. So the Big Ten, as we know, is tough, top to bottom, but man, the top is getting tougher. The Big 12 has really been tough at the top, not as deep as the Big 10. I've had a blast watching their games. I think they had another 1-point game last night. I'll have to put those scores up, but man, they have had just battles night in and night out over there.
Oh yeah. You always hear about the Kansas winning year in and year out, but the Big 12 has definitely transformed into a different kind of conference. Oklahoma is always right there, but Baylor is just looking like a definitely a national championship contender type team. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm super excited that they're having a tournament this year because I'm interested to see how some of these Big Ten teams fare. Illinois to me is a dangerous team, but I don't know how consistent they are. And unfortunately, to go deep in a tournament, you got to have that consistency as well. Io, I thought when he played IU, he was struggling a little bit. Curbelo showed signs of being up and down. So I'm interested to see how they can really mesh and compete and, like I said, stay consistent throughout the tournament because that's huge.
Yeah, and Iowa, of course, they lost C.J. Frederick, and that has definitely impacted them. But I don't know that you shouldn't be losing 3 out of 4 with just one guy when you're as strong and as deep as they are. But I'm sure they'll get that turned around. The Big Ten tournament, that's going to be interesting to see. You talk about a heavyweight fight. My gosh, can't wait to watch that. And, of course, officially now that has been moved to Indianapolis, Verdell, which it's a no-brainer. I was like, well, I don't know why you guys are even pretending it ain't coming there because that's a no-brainer. But the Big Ten tournament confirmed to be happening in Indianapolis. But I think it's going to take place in Lucas Oil Stadium.
I saw that, yeah.
That is going to be talk about because even normally in a dome, like back in the old days, the Hoosier Dome, that was big enough. But the Lucas Oil, that roof's even higher and it's darker, so it doesn't have like a I don't know, man. The sight lines of shooting there I can't imagine the sight lines shooting in Lucas Oil.
Oh my goodness! It's gonna be borderline impossible. You got to think about it. Not only are you playing in a huge stadium, are there fans going to be there? I don't know if there's going to be any fans. So think about having that huge empty space and you trying to shoot a 3-ball from the corner. You might be really, really short or really, really long. That's a whole different dynamic that people don't really understand is that when you have that big stadium and it's going to be empty like it is, it definitely affects your kind of your feel for the game.
And even in warmups, I don't know that I think you can get adjusted to it in warmups, but it seems like when you come back out for the game, it doesn't matter because it's such a disparity that you almost have to get reacclimated again when the game starts.
Absolutely. And your juices are flowing, your energy is up. So everything's a little bit stronger, everything a little bit, you shoot a little bit harder. So it definitely, there's a lot of adjustments that shooters will have to make. So hopefully if you have a great driving team, that might help you in the Big Ten tournament. But if you're relying on just your 3-point shooting, I hope you have a big stadium somewhere close by to practice, man, because it does affect it. Look at in the NCAA tournament, you'll see teams that are hot all the way up to the Final Four, and then they get put in those big old domes and they score 40 points. You know what I mean? It's that when you play in certain environments, it definitely has a huge effect on how you play.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the NCAA games, tournament, they started moving towards the domes for the championships, and it's not as fun. I know it's about money, but I don't like it. I like the intimacy, like Indiana. I think when Keith Smart, that was in New Orleans, wasn't it? I think it was in the Superdome.
Yeah.
God, I mean, that thing is cavernous. I've been in that thing. It's just gigantic. But yeah, I just like college basketball was meant to be played in an intimate setting. And I'm not talking about a 10,000 seat, but I don't think you need to go over 30,000 for that.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially this year. I mean, you're not going to have people in there anyway. So luckily, I guess it'll be in Banker's Life, hopefully. So, or I don't know where they're playing the championship, but that's where it should be. But it's at least we're having one, and that's all that matters, because I think it's going to be a cool tournament, even though it's been a weird year. There are some good teams. Like I said, the Big Ten, we know how strong they are. The Big 12, we know how strong they are. Then you've got Gonzaga, a team out west who doesn't really get tested. They were losing to Pacific at the half last night. They ended up going on to win handily, but I'm like, you know what? If they go undefeated, that's got to I just an asterisk to me. I know some people disagree, but because Indiana's 76 team going undefeated win the national championship. If they were going to go undefeated, it would just have to have an asterisk for me. They play nobody. Their conference, they're playing Pacific, and they were losing to Pacific, not Ohio State, not Michigan. So it's just they've just got such an easy path. I don't know that helps them or hurts them preparing for the tournament, though.
I mean, I don't know if it does either. I mean, look when was the last time they really they've been in a championship game once or twice, maybe. It doesn't prepare you for the kind of juggernauts that you play during a tournament. I mean, you might stick around, play an 8-9 seed who is a 6 seed in the Big Ten or a 5 seed in the Big Ten. So it just I just feel like sometimes their preference schedule. It doesn't prepare them for what they face once the tournament time comes. And like I said, it's all about being consistent in the tournament, being consistent and playing at a high level. And if if your talent that you're playing against is two different talent levels, sometimes it can be hard to adjust and get yourself ready for those better teams. But it's the college basketball dynamic this year is obviously different because of the fan situation. So it's I'll be interested to see how it affects going into the tournament with the domes and stuff like that, because like I said, you got to bring your own energy. You don't have 10, 15,000 fans to cheer you on. You got those 12 guys on the bench and maybe some parents in the stands. So you got to find your own energy, and we'll see how that affects a lot of teams this year.
A bill was introduced Thursday by Senator Chris Murphy that would allow college football players to license their names for a college football video game, Verdell. Murphy's bill was introduced as part of the ongoing efforts to reform the NCAA's outdated rules governing players' images and likeness, as states across the country have moved to allow college athletes to make money off their own names and image rights. The NCAA has asked for federal help in creating nationwide rules that would allow college athletes the ability to get sponsorships and endorsements. Man, you came along a little too late, Verdell. We could be playing Verdell could be EA Sports Verdell with a shot.
Right there, man. Right. I remember my freshman and sophomore year was the last year they had a college basketball. But I mean, I'm so happy that it's coming back. Like that was Jim. You have no idea. That was my favorite video game growing up. I wanted to always play college football or college basketball and create my own team and recruit guys there and the whole thing. So I'm excited that it's coming back. I can't wait to play the Hoosiers in football, man. It's gonna be exciting because they're actually be good this time. Back when I was playing, you can't pick you couldn't pick the Hoosiers to play. You might lose. So the fact that they're gonna be a good team to play with on there, I'm super excited and can't wait.
How about though the ability for the Hoosier players to profit from that?
Yes.
Michael Penix throwing the pass deep to Ty Freifogel.
Right, right. No, that I think it's needed. I mean, yes, college is supposed to be an amateur sport, but there's so much money being made off of athletes, man. There's no way that you can't tell me that there's not a way that you can give us at least a little bit of money, especially when you see how guys are really living. yeah, we got our education paid for, but usually most of the time you can't go get a degree that you really want, right? Because you got to spend all your time on practice. Yeah, you get to kick it and be a college athlete, but most of the time your college days are spent in the gym. So the fact that they're doing something to be able to pay these guys a little bit of money, I'm excited about it. A lot of guys come from situations where they don't have any money, where they don't have that extra funds outside of their scholarship to buy stuff or to eat extra food, things like that. So, whether it's $1,000, $500 a month extra, I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's needed.
We've missed our break. We got to get to that. Alec Lasley is going to join us next, so let's hurry up and get to there. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington, and French Lake Resort Casino. Back with more right after this.
Hey, we all want more. No one gives you more.
Missed that break there, Trevor.
What's up?
What's up?
How's it going?
Where are you, Mr. Manhattan?
Same place, just moved from desk to the table.
Moving around. We're trying to get him closer. He's in New Jersey right now, Verdell. We're trying to get him closer.
Man, are you staying safe with all that winter storm?
Yeah, we got like probably 16, 17 inches the other day, and then we're
supposed
to get like
What?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it snowed for like 36 hours straight. It was pretty nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're supposed to get like 3 to 5 this weekend too.
You got more coming? Oh.
Dude,
yeah, it's that storm that was like out in Iowa this week or yesterday or the day before.
Oh, okay, yeah. We got a little bit of that too.
When I was a kid, we got hammered with snow for like 3 years in a row, like 59, 60 inches in the winter. And that's just southern Indiana. And I remember in 93, we got like a 3-foot snowfall once. Other than that, we haven't had jack. It's like nothing. And it's like, yeah, you get a couple, and that's it, which I'm fine with. When I was a kid in school, I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Now I'm like, hell no.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer when you're a kid and you don't have to go into class. But now when you actually have to go to the office and stuff, it's not as fun.
I'm like, oh, hell no, I don't want to drive on this stuff.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Damn.
CJ Gunn, man.
Yeah,
Todd Leary's kid beat them last night, Alec.
Yeah, I saw that. He had a good game. His son hit a couple threes.
3 threes.
Yeah.
Man, is Gunn just an average player?
No, I don't like Ellen's offense. They play so slow and they don't really let those athletes get out in transition. So it's kind of tough to really see what that skill level really is. He played a lot better in AAU, the couple tournaments they had this summer, just because it was a lot more up tempo, which who knows how that's going to fit in with Indiana with that slower pace. But
you mean Indiana's up tempo offense that runs at the snail pace?
Encounter with elephants and giraffes.
Yep.
Lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Summersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this TGIF Friday, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. 0% sales event going on right now. It's never happened. You can get 0% APR financing. More to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. French Lake Resort and Casinos open. Sportsbook ready. Super Bowl this Sunday. Hit it up. I may have to do that. Joining us now, Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Alec, how are you, brother?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Cannot complain. Verdell Jones sitting and staying warm. Big high school game last night in Indiana. Lawrence North and Carmel. Lawrence North, I thought was the team to beat, but man, Carmel just beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, that was I wasn't really I was expecting obviously a close game. I think Carmel was without one of their better players too, which going into that game, if you tell a lot of people that Carmel's going to be without one of their best players and they're still going to win by almost 20 points against, one of the best teams in the state, I don't think many people would kind of believe you on that front. But Lawrence North has kind of hit a little bit of a kind of standstill here over the past few weeks after starting off. I think it was 14-0, lost 2 out of their last 3, I believe it was. Both obviously to good teams. The other one to Homestead, who's still undefeated. So two obviously good losses if you want to count them that way. But Ellen tends to just run a little bit of a slower paced offense. Not really kind of allowing some of those athletes that they have to kind of get out and transition, use their athleticism, which I think does hurt them at times. But, that's why I'm not coaching. That's why I'm on the sidelines over here and watching the games. But I still think that, in order for them to kind of maybe take the next step this year, they kind of need to speed up the tempo a little bit just with all the athletes that they do have on the floor.
Yeah, because Carmel's got the Fighting Learys, man. They're just going to kill you from the outside. Will Leary knocking down, of course, Leary, the son of Todd Leary, our buddy, chip off the old block, knocking down 3 points. Looked like the Duke game last night, knocking down 3 3-pointers, putting them in that game. It was, and he wasn't alone. I mean, they can shoot.
Yeah, I think they had 8. At one point, they were 7 of 9 from 3. Obviously, wow. Any team that kind of gets that hot that early, kind of tough to come back from. But I think they finished with like 9 or 10 threes for the game. So that's tough to beat no matter who you are, especially if you do run that kind of slower paced offense. But it's always fun to see those athletes go up against each other, especially in kind of big time high school games. Too bad we couldn't have more fans in the arena for what would have been a packed house for that game, but still fun to see those guys go after it.
Verdell, CJ Gunn is the name on Lawrence North's team that is expected to probably commit to Indiana. Verdell or Alec, not a great game for him last night. 8 points, I think, out of 8 top scorers, he was the least one, so you couldn't get into the flow of that game.
Yeah, I mean that's been a bit of a problem just for Lawrence North in general. I think he's kind of hidden behind Shamar Avance, the point guard in the 2021 class. He's more of a very ball dominant point guard who likes to maybe at times over dribble. That's probably one of his main weaknesses. Then DJ Hughes, Butler commit in the 21 class as well. So that Lawrence North team is pretty stacked, and CJ Gunn may sometimes get kind of lost in that, and the team doesn't really see him out maybe as often as they should. But in big time games this year, he's had huge performances, and Lawrence North has relied on him to not only take the big shot, but also hit the big shot, which he has in multiple different games. So I don't think it's necessarily so much on CJ Gunn at this point. He does a good job of really picking his spots in opportunities that Lawrence North really needs them. But obviously it's just tough in a high school game without a shot clock to really kind of speed up that tempo and maybe get as many possessions and as many looks as he probably should at this stage.
And as far as recruiting period, obviously Indiana not having a great time right now, a lot of discomfort for Archie, and that's never good for recruiting, but not a lot of names bouncing around out there. What, CJ Gunn, we were expecting a commitment from him, 2 days from now. What is today? 2 days from now. Yeah, his announcement.
Yeah, he's supposed to make his announcement on Sunday. Yep.
But other than that, there's nothing really in the pipeline that I'm aware of.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot going on right now. Obviously, Isaac McNeely, top 60 guard that Indiana was in on, committed to Virginia last week. But in terms of the IU targets, a lot of them really are kind of staying pat right now. I know some are going to eventually be narrowing down their list here in the next couple of months, but a lot of them really want to get to that summer, see if what the AAU situation is going to look like, and then depending kind of how that goes the first month or two, I think you're going to see a lot more either commit or at least really kind of narrow in on 3 or 4 schools, because you have seen some 2022 guys that are more at the top of kind of the recruiting boards of a lot of schools recently at least start to commit or start to narrow down their search. So obviously guys are going to eventually have to start narrowing it down. And I think depending kind of how AAU season goes, what happens with any sort of visits, if they're allowed in the summer, you'll see timelines at least start to speed up.
And Verdell, there's a lot of concern with Trace Jackson Davis leaving for the NBA or not. And right now, I mean, the mock draft I've seen, he's a second round pick. I don't know that you leave as a second round pick. If he does leave, Indiana's in some serious trouble. Alec, I know they've got Logan Duncan coming in, but he's a freshman, and that's going to leave them, like I said several months ago, bare in the middle.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think you look at potentially, Joey Brunk does have that option to come back. If he does, I think you'll be set, at least for now, up in that front court, just because he brings a lot more of that kind of physical play than maybe what Indiana's had this season. But yeah, obviously that's a huge question mark, is not only that front court depth, but kind of more importantly, where you go for offense without Trace Jackson Davis, because we've seen at times, even with him on the floor, the offense has obviously struggled to score and at least look even competent at times. But when you take him off, the offense really struggles. And obviously a lot of it has to do with if you're able to make your shots or not, because obviously if you do, the offense is going to look a lot better than if you don't. But the important thing for Indiana is obviously to really kind of venture into that transfer market, at least land one or two guys, more so one or two guys that can make an impact right away, especially on the wing, kind of that small ball four, which I think Indiana is going to have to venture into a little bit more than maybe they may want. But that's just going to be the most important thing for Archie Miller and Indiana. They have to land one or two of these high impact transfers and not a guy who's just going to come in and kind of average 5 or 6 points and be a role player. Because if he does, and if they do come in and do that, then Indiana is going to be in a world of hurt, because they're just not going to be able to score the ball.
Verdell, speaking of Illinois, you're over in Illinois. I saw that they have returned to high school sports. That's got to be great for you guys, because we're talking about all these guys being seen and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys over there, they're not getting that. They weren't getting that opportunity, and that's got to be just horrible.
It was. I mean, I'm super excited that everyone's starting back up. It still won't be the same season that other people have. I think they're only doing like a month or a month and a half season, and you can only play people in your region. So, it's not like the Chicago teams are coming down state and playing and stuff like that, which I'll miss. Those are the fun games. But at least they're having some kind of season, and guys are getting seen and be able to play. But Alec, I had a question for you. So, with all the grumblings and stuff around Coach Miller and the recruiting, how does that affect recruiting? When guys don't know if the coach that's recruiting you might be there in a year or two, or if guys like Trace Jackson are not going to stay, or Lander, guys like that, how much does what's happening with them affect incoming recruits who want to come play for Indiana?
Yeah, no, I mean, and normally in a year where you don't have maybe that one-time transfer rule that's going to be starting up in the next year here, I think it'd weigh a lot more on recruits. But if you're able to transfer and be eligible right away in that first transfer, I don't think it really makes that much of an impact, just because, let's say, you're an incoming guy in this 21 class, and, you play for a coach for 1 year and then he gets fired. You basically just kind of go through that recruiting process again, not only by the coach that's going to take over for him, but then also if you want to put your name in the transfer portal, you have that ability to play wherever you go that next year. So I don't think it's going to impact as much. Obviously, maybe a little bit further out for those 2023 guys, but a lot of those guys really haven't seen their recruitment really take off yet. So I don't necessarily think it's a huge impact, just because, like I said, with that one-time transfer rule, I think regardless of if a coach stays or not, moving forward now, especially the next few seasons, you're just going to see a lot more transfers and guys who you never thought would transfer, but just think, obviously the grass is going to be greener on the other side. So like I said, I don't think it'll make a huge impact, especially with some of these guys that are trying to make their decisions right now.
Gotcha.
For Indiana, I think that you're probably going to see the transfer is going to be their most likely avenue, because let's not kid each other. Archie Miller's seat is warm. He's not going anywhere this year. Let's get that out of the way. He financially, there is, unless somebody walks in with a big old fat $10 million check, he's going nowhere this year. definitely here through next season. So, but recruits, Verdell, I mean, if that was a situation, you especially now and with all the social media, you can pay attention to everything. What's that like if you're seeing that? If you're outside the state, it's different than you're inside the state, I think, because if you're inside the state, you're more is less. You're going to go play for Indiana University anyway. Outside the state, you're probably coming to play for the coach.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's why I asked that question. I just wondered, from outside players looking in, what their view of the program was, because for me, when I was going to recruit, I didn't understand what it really meant to be a Hoosier until I got on campus. So, trying to use that as a recruiting tool, I just wonder how players outside of the state of Indiana were viewing the program, because if you look over the past few years of some of the NBA players that we've had, and some of the guys that came in and done crazy numbers for IU, they've been from outside of the state, whether it's Vic or people like that. So Thomas Bryant. So I just wanted to get a view, with you having feet on the ground, what kind of, thought process is going through everything right now with the players and what's going on with IU.
Yeah, I mean, I think for one point, especially, I mean, you look at this Indiana team and this Indiana program over the past even, maybe 6 years. It's not the same Indiana program. Obviously, when you were there, it's not the same Indiana program, back in the late 90s and 80s and 70s. And I think a lot of players now, especially, aren't necessarily drawn just to that history. There needs to be a lot more in that recruiting pitch, just because obviously Indiana hasn't been winning. There's no way around it. Obviously, Indiana hasn't been to a NCAA tournament under Archie Miller. Who knows what would have happened last year? But again, that doesn't matter at this point. So if you're not playing in the big games, you're not winning the big games, and you're not kind of progressing, then you can only rely on history for so long. And you're getting to that point where kids are just going to be like, yeah, I know what you guys did 30, 40 years ago, but nothing's happening right now. And I think that's why you see Archie Miller kind of struggling to land these out of state guys at a higher rate, just because, I mean, you look at some of these in-state guys, like Jim said, it's Indiana. It still holds more weight to in-state recruits than it does out of state. But again, at some point, then you look at Purdue in the way that they're winning, in the way that they're able to obviously handle Indiana, more importantly, and that's what happened with maybe some of these guys in the 2020 class and the 2021 class that decided obviously that they wanted to go to Purdue instead of Indiana, just because of that winning mentality maybe isn't in Bloomington like it used to be.
Alec, what do you have coming up next?
Yeah, after CJ Gunn's decision on Sunday, we'll be updating the 2022 hot board. So there's going to be some movement on there, and then obviously we'll be focusing a little bit more on recruiting some of the out-of-state guys. Their seasons have just started. With COVID, they got pushed back, so some of them just started last month. Some of them just getting underway now. So we'll be kind of focusing our attention a little bit more on some of the out-of-state recruits.
What time is CJ Gunn? Does he announce the time yet? Because it's Super Bowl Sunday and Indiana plays at noon.
Yeah, he has not announced a time yet. So I'm sure something will be coming out here in the next day on a specific time. But yeah, it's going to be a busy day on Sunday.
I think you should do it like they did the old In Living Color way back in the day and do it at halftime of the Super Bowl. That's what I would do. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you follow him there at thehoosier.com or on Twitter. We appreciate you, brother. Have a good day.
I appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
We
Alec.
got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back to it with Verdell Jones, Jim Coyle back to the studio. Andy Moore Honda. 0% sales event going on right now in Bloomington. Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. You can get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. French Lake Resort Casino's open. Get down to that sports book. Lay a bet on the Super Bowl. We're back with more right after this.
Welcome.
Woo! Yeah, it's rolling, Verdell. It's a good one today.
It's going. But yeah, that's my man. That's kind of my question I have is what is the feel like? What are
Nobody's
what's
ever
the
come
feel
in.
outside of the state of Indiana about Indiana?
Well, nobody ever. He's not landed at any outstate. You can count Geronimo, but he's not elite. He thought he was going to play Division III basketball. He came to Indiana for a visit, wanted to commit on the spot, They made him wait a day. He committed a day later. But other than that, nobody from out of state is coming here. And he's losing the in-state. He lost Trey Kaufman from Southern. You don't lose a Southern Indiana kid to Purdue. That just does not happen.
Yeah.
Matt Painter is just taking the state over.
That's frustrating. That is frustrating. I mean, there's one thing if you can't get in-state recruits, you lose out in-state recruits, but you're getting in juggernauts from out of the state. But if you can't get neither one, then that's definitely
well. And then the other thing is not getting the elite is okay as long as you're developing talent. Well, you got neither. You're not getting the elite, and you're not developing jack.
Yeah. I mean, you just to me, man, when I watched Chris Lander play the other day, I feel like he, if you just give him confidence as a coach, he'll play a lot better. But you could tell that every little move or every little thing he does, he's overthinking, and that's toxic. That's toxic for a freshman. That's toxic for a freshman.
For the first, I don't know, up until the last 2 games, he would come in and maybe get 3 minutes. And if he made one mistake, boom, it was out. I was like, man, you can't play like that.
Yep.
And in the last few games, he's got some extra minutes because they had to, and he's looked good. The offense looks better. It's faster. He gets the ball up the floor. He's looking to get it to people to score, not to just pass. Where normally they're just passing around the horn with no purpose. But Christian's coming down, and he's looking to get it into Race or get it into Trace. And it's just
he puts much more pressure on the offense.
I just don't see how you can be that bad. As Archie is.
That's right. You get 0% APR financing on a brand new Honda from Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, Andy Moore Honda. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, where more means more. More selection, more savings.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda and French Lake Resort Casino. Trying to see any big games tonight. Not a lot. There's a lot of games. Maryland, Penn State. That's not what I would call a big one in the Big Ten, but let's see. Wasn't a lot last night either. So not a lot of games that I'm seeing. I mean, there's a ton of them, but not a lot of Big Ten games. But there will be this weekend. Yeah, everything's on Saturday. Let me get that day pulled up. Who we got playing that day? Pull up the Big Ten, baby. Who we got?
Illinois.
Ooh. See, I love those battles. Love those big heavyweight battles. Yeah, Wisconsin, Illinois. Let's see, 14-5. Number 19, Wisconsin. Number 12, Illinois. Northwestern and Purdue. Purdue's strongly. They're in the tournament. Nebraska, Michigan State. Oh, there's the battle of the knots. Michigan State will
still get in.
I was just getting ready to say Michigan State can still go on a run, and because they play in the Big Ten, you can notch worthy victories like that. And it's like Indiana. Indiana's actually, I think, right now still hanging on to in a lot of the bracketology. Right now at the bottom. So it just takes enough. It's the crazy losses that have killed them. And overtimes, those close. Well, losing at home to Northwestern and Rutgers, you can't lose those games, man. Yeah. Those are the ones that if they get left out, that's going to be the case. But a lot of exciting fun. The Super Bowl. Who's your pick for the Super Bowl, man? You talked earlier. Your wife is the Chiefs, and you're a Brady guy. Why?
Oh man, I do. Like I said, I respect greatness, man. Like to me, Tom Brady, he, if not the best, he is one of the best to ever play the game. And to do it at his age and still be efficient is just, I respect it. Now, I will say I'm an up and coming Mahomes fan too. I think Mahomes is a special talent. Who else throws no look 30-yard bombs? Just to wide receivers. So I'm just excited. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. Whoever wins, whoever ends up coming out on top, more support to them. But I'm just happy that's gonna be an exciting game. Hopefully.
Some games in the Big 12 Saturday. Oklahoma is Iowa State. Iowa State's terrible, so that shouldn't be very good. Alabama, Missouri. Now there's a game that should be good.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri, they're number 18, and I can't believe that they're ranked in the SEC. But Alabama, number 10, Alabama. How about Nate Oates? The job he's done. He went from Buffalo and turned Buffalo into a program. Leaves there, goes to Alabama. They're 15-4. He's 10-0. They're 10-0 in the SEC, which it's the SEC. I get it, but still, there's some good, decent teams in there, and they're 10-0.
It is. He's done a heck of a job down there. I mean, I'm seeing Coach Crean out of Georgia has been doing better. But you know what, Missouri, man, and Quanzo Martin, he really, to me, changed our program around too and made them much more competitive and a contender. I mean, they've. The Missouri-Illinois bragging rights game is a big game that they have every year, and Missouri has been handling their own every year. So he's really changed the face of that program and made it a contender in the SEC.
Another Big 12 battle. Number 23 Kansas travels to West Virginia. Woo, that ought to be a fist fight.
Mm-hmm. Coach Huggies, he just – all his teams are so scrappy, no matter if they're a top 5, top 10 team or unranked, that you have a dogfight every time you play those guards because they are picking you up full court. They're going to guard you and hound you all game. And, he always has his teams ready to play, but, Kansas, this is a down year for them, technically. They're usually one of those top 5, top 10 teams as well. So that should be a good barn burner.
Number 19, Wisconsin travels to number 12, Illinois. You mentioned that one. That's a contrast of styles right there, brother. That's gonna be that's gonna be interesting to watch.
It is. Well, the best thing is that it's in Champaign. If you played in Madison, that's just tough. I was actually watching the interview with AJ Guyton and DJ White about where's one of the toughest places to play. And they both said Wisconsin, in Madison, just because it's so cold. Like it's an ice hockey, it's a hockey arena. So the floor is just the floor ice.
Over the yes.
Yeah, so it's hard to get warm, it's hard to get loose. And then the fans, when they do have fans, are just about as dry as the ice is. So it's it's awful.
Let's see. Here's a funny one. Houston, did they have a game get canceled because the team that's listed that they're playing doesn't even have a logo next to it, and it is Our Lady of the Lake.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, what? I'm on ESPN's deal. But yeah, Our Lady of the Lake. They don't even have a record, a logo. I don't. I'm like, all right. Well, so what the hell is that? Number 6, Texas travels to Oklahoma State. That should be a good one. Texas Tech to Kansas State. Kansas State. Pittsburgh coming off of a big win. They go to Virginia. Yep. Northwestern travels to Purdue. Purdue is firmly in the Kentucky, Tennessee. Kentucky's at home to Tennessee. Tennessee needs that win, and Kentucky is reeling. How about UCLA, man? The Bruins, Michael Lewis and Mick Cronin, they are rolling. They're 9-1 in the Pac-12, and they shouldn't have lost that game. Oh, my God. They got beat by Stanford on a last-second, under-the-basket, inbounds play. I was like, oh, my God. I mean, if as a coach, that just pisses you off. I mean, because they're not – that's their only loss. That would just kill me. They got USC coming up this weekend.
All right, it's a rivalry game. Now, UCLA, man, Coach Cronin, someone that I've known for quite a bit, man. He's a heck of a coach, and he's doing his thing out there.
Second year. They're in their second year.
Yeah. I mean, he's recruiting well. They're winning.
And they lost. They lost it. They lost a draft pick. They lost a draft pick with an ACL injury this year. and they're doing what they're doing. That's amazing. TCU is at Baylor, number 2. Baylor, or did I see Baylor's next 2 games are canceled? Someone's getting next couple of games are canceled.
Yeah, Baylor got their game postponed, I think.
Yeah, I think that was them, but there ought to be plenty going on this weekend. Plenty of fun to be had, but it's going to be cold, man. I'm not planning on doing much. Staying in and watching them. Hit us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline if you wish, 812-269-6367. You can also hit us up on if you're watching online via YouTube. Make sure you give us a follow at YouTube. You can also get the notifications for after the game of Todd Leary that way. And you can find me at Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. Give Verdell a follow as well. What do you? We got a big honeydew list this weekend, or do you get to rest at Super Bowl weekend?
We're actually almost done with.
Don't say that out loud.
With our renovations,
Verdell, you can't say "done" out loud.
You're right. It's a curse word right there, man. You're never done. I'm learning that right now. But we're getting to a good stopping point to where we can kind of take a break and exhale a little bit and try to just relax. So we're almost there. I'm excited, man. We legit have done it. We're doing a full house renovation, so it's not going to be something easy or short. But it's been fun. So we're getting done though.
Let's see. Tim hit us up on the line. Said IU may have to play Purdue, Michigan, and Michigan State 1 week before the Big Ten tournament. Yeah, that's another question. They've got 2 games that have been postponed, Michigan State and Michigan. When are they going to squeeze those in? And I would imagine that they are going to try to. That's Iowa. That's another thing. Iowa, we mentioned, lost 3 out of those 4 games, but they played a lot of games. They lost to Indiana, they lost to Illinois, they beat Michigan State, and then they just lost to Ohio State. They're playing a lot of games. And then they come here on Sunday. That's a lot of games. I mean, is Indiana catching them at the right time at home?
I think so. I mean, you made a point earlier that there's a lot of the good games ahead of us that we need to win for Indiana to get into that tournament. The Iowas, the Michigan States, and people like that. Those are good resume wins. And so right now, I feel like Iowa, they're kind of reeling a little bit. They're down their player. I know Garza, he's a monster, but when you play that many games in college, you can get tired. And I think
a big guy like that.
Exactly. And I think IU right now, we're hungry. So hopefully we can turn that into some motivation and get the W. But one thing I will say is when you have when you have a team like Iowa who's been playing a lot of games, you got to kind of run them. You got to kind of push the tempo and make them, and kind of exploit that tiredness or that fatigue. So I'm going to see what kind of game plan Coach Miller has, and see how the guys respond. After a tough loss against Illinois. Personally, me, the Illinois game, I thought the guys did battle. I thought they did fight. Couple of shots here and there didn't fall the way it's supposed to, but I thought, to me personally, I saw a team that fought. Despite the foul trouble, despite shots that weren't falling for guys, despite Illinois going on their runs, I thought the guys fought and made it a game that should have been won. And that's in the Big Ten, that's what you want to be. You want to have the opportunity to be in the last couple plays to be able to win the game. And so I think beating Iowa a couple weeks ago, and I think there's a lot of things that they can build on moving forward for the game on Sunday.
Alan hit us up, said he read a story yesterday that it was a done deal on the last week's schedule for IU. And I don't mean, do you mean that they've added those games, Alan? Send that back in. Race Thompson, to me, has actually been the most consistent guy in the paint. He comes to play. I'm not saying he's the biggest scorer every game. He's not. Trace Jackson averages more points, but it takes a long time, it seems, for Trace to get going, and he can get taken out of his game easy. Kofi took him out of his game the other night. He tried to step out and hit shots, which he is not capable of doing right now, which is a sad thing for him. That's something he should have been really working on and getting that down, because that's a part of his game that he has to have. But Race has just been consistent. He battles, he gets in there, and it doesn't matter. And he was battling with Kofi the other night. He'll battle with Luka Garza on Sunday, and he's scoring and rebounding, and he's just working his ass off.
He is, man. I am a huge fan of Race Thompson. I really am. I mean, you don't see him scoring 30 points every night, but what you won't see him is ever take a day off. He's battling no matter who he has to guard, whether it's a wing, a five, blocking shots. I mean, you just love this. You love to have a guy like that on your team who's just a workhorse and get stuff done. I wish he had, him and Church had a little bit. This was one or two extra guys to help give him some breaks. I think you'll see even more out of Race. But I mean, when you ask a guy to battle, guys who are 4 or 5 inches taller than him, as well as try to score on the offensive end, that's a lot. But it seems like every single day that he comes ready to play and puts his best effort forward, and that's all you can ask for.
Alan said that he did read that they confirmed it on ESPN, so that means I assume I'll have to go back and read it to confirm that, but I would assume that between their last game with Purdue and the start of the Big Ten, I don't know when are they going to add those. I'll have to look to see. But so you're going to have another game with Michigan and another game with Michigan State somehow squeezed in. We just talked about playing a lot of games. Well, that leads into the tournament. Man, is that good to get on that roll with games, or is that exhausting to have that many games to have to play going into a tournament? And then if you were to make the NCAA tournament, that follows that. Yeah,
I mean, that's going to be tough. I mean, this is a tough kind of scheduling situation. But then I guess you just got to think is winning those games going to help your bid into the tournament more than winning in the Big Ten tournament? Is IU realistically going to win the Big Ten tournament to seal their fate in the tournament or not? I personally think, with the Michigan State, and what is that? It was one more team you said, I think.
Michigan State that Indiana has to play.
Yeah, what was the last? It said there was 3 teams, right?
Purdue was the last game.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, those 3, if you can get 3 wins against those teams, that helps your resume a lot more than maybe winning 2 games or 3 games into the tournament. That's my own opinion, but it seems like the last 5-10 years that a lot of teams don't get rewarded for winning in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, and again, the opportunity of playing in the Big Ten, virtually every win is a big win. So that would be very helpful, but it also they're going to have a lot crammed in. So hopefully, if you can get on a roll, that's always good, and it can continue the good play. But also, this team has kind of struggled when they go from team to team playing different styles. They seem to have trouble defensively catching up, and playing that many teams that quickly, that could present a problem for them.
Yeah, it could. But I mean, it's like I said, at least it's better to have a day in between than trying to go into a tournament and playing a different team every single day. If that's something that we have issues with. I rather have my chances with having at least a day to prepare.
I mentioned earlier the UCLA is 9-1 out there, but Forrest mentions the Pac-12 is weak. It is kind of weak, but still a great turnaround by those guys in their second year. But we'll see how that goes. See, for Indiana now, you got a game coming up on Sunday at noon. We'll talk about that. AJ Guyton's going to join us next. We'll also talk about he's not been on for a couple weeks too, and in between he's had several good ones. But of course the one, Kirk Haston, which he's been on several times. I wish I had the clip to play for you guys when he was on one Derby. He is an absolute nut. I'll wait for AJ to tell this story, and I meant to get this clip pulled up, but actually I usually just play it once a year around Derby time because it's pretty funny. But when he becomes governor, then that's when I'm really going to play it, and he will become governor one of these days. But looking forward to that. I'm trying to think who else he had on. He's had on Kirk Haston since DJ White. I know.
DJ.
I'm thinking there was one other. DJ's been on with us before as well, but some great stories. The DJ had a great story. I'm trying to remember what that one was. But it's just the stories the practice stories and all that, those are the fun things, man. Those are just the funny things to hear, and just love hearing that stuff.
Absolutely, man. A lot of those stories are classic, and when you hear about the different guys involved and some of the hilarious moments, it makes you enjoy it even more. So, I'm loving every story that he does, and more that comes out, the more that you have an appreciation for the IU alumni and the family that's created here.
Looking forward to it. We got lots more coming up. AJ's going to join us next. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. 0% sales event right now and French Lick Resort Casino. We're back with more right after this.
Hey, we all want more, and no one gives you more for less than.
Yeah, I don't see anything about those games being rescheduled. Indiana would have sent something out. Alan, I don't see anything about those games being scheduled, brother. Iowa, Northwestern, Purdue, Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois, Northwestern, Wisconsin. I don't see anything about Indiana. I don't see that.
Giraffes, lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Friday. Verdell Jones sits in as always, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and French Lick Resort Casino. AJ Guyton joining us now. AJ, how are you, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. And Verdell is here as well. He's finished up his honeydew list.
Hey, AJ, how's it going, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. Trying to stay warm. This crazy little snow weather can change the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I know. You must be on the West Coast or something, man, because I know you used to this.
No, I'm bringing champagne. I
Oh,
ain't
you
man.
okay.
It's
All right.
you never get used to rain and sleet and ice.
Oh man, it's a challenge. Man. You're a competitor. It's always a challenge.
Definitely keeps coming back around, no doubt about that, man. You've had some great ones on, man. AJ, we haven't talked for a couple of weeks, but man, you've had some great ones on. DJ White, Kirk Haston. I may have missed one, but the Kirk is always just that dude is just a nut, man. He is just so funny.
Yeah, he is, man. He always got great stories. Always comes with it, man. He's kept everything from our time at IU, which I was jealous of. I mean, he had our name tags. He had old shoes. I'm like, man, you just got a garbage bag and just took everything. So he was able to tell stories off of those things. So man, he was one of the better interviews because of his knowledge and what he talked about and the facts that he came with.
Well, if people that don't know, he's a state representative in his home state of Tennessee. I call him governor. Every time he's on, I call him governor because there's no doubt. I mean, this dude, if he wants to be governor one day, I think he would be because he is such a personable, sincere person, and you see that, you know that it's real with him. Funny, folksy, smart. I mean, he's a triple threat.
Yeah, definitely. He got that personality, man. He has that politician personality. Shake hands, hug, tell stories, man. And that's why he's a special one to interview. And we didn't even talk about his political. We didn't get time to talk about his political life. It was something. So because the podcast was so already long enough, but I didn't want to make it too long. So we're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah, he was on one of the first times. It was 3 years ago. I was doing a show from Churchill Downs. It was a Derby themed show. I was calling all IU people and just giving us your Derby pick. Right. And he said, "Hey, can I just make up my own horse?" And I was like, "Sure." So he makes up his own horse's name, and I have no idea where he's going with this. And we're live on the air, and I was like, I said, how would this race go? And his horse's name was Hoof Hearted. And so he starts going into the Derby call. How they break it up? And he goes, "Well, when you say hoof hearted real fast, it's who farted." But he's a hoof hearted, and it smelt it, dealt it. And I'm like, he's doing it. Here's Kirk Haston doing this stuff. And I'm like, he's just a nut. He's just so funny and great to be around. I can't imagine having been a teammate. That had to be great to having a guy like that on your team to keep you loose. He's a great player and keeping you loose at the same time.
Well, we had to be focused on the basketball court. It's a lot different than, but in the locker room, I mean, this dude was loose and always joking and always keeping it light. And he did. You listen to the pod, he dealt with some personal challenges, personal tragedy, and only a person with that type of outlook on life, can use that as motivation and still persevere. So, he was definitely the same. He's never changed, and now he's even more because he's able to be in a position where his attitude, his mindset can shine through. So that's why he's always a good interview for everybody.
And it's great. We've talked about this many times, but this is a great way to introduce Verdell to people like Kirk, who they didn't get to play together. I mean, and so many guys they were kind of close. I mean, obviously the guys are far apart, but there's just a lot of group that they were right there, but they don't know each other because they paths just didn't cross.
As we put this podcast together, I mean, that became the theme. It's like, to introduce and reintroduce these former players to other players as well as the fans and the people who are generations past. So that really to me is what's come out of it. Is nothing more than just creating these relationships and creating these relationships with other players as well, and introducing them to one another, telling them about each other's stories, so we all can see that our stories really run parallel to one another.
Verdell, what's it like for you to hear these guys that you don't know, didn't get to play with, but you knew because they were right around your era?
Man, I love it. You get to like AJ said, a lot of your stories that you have personally and the other guys have are almost parallel. There's kind of different times and different narratives around it. But I enjoy them. I think it's something that's important for the Hoosier Nation, especially because of kind of how things have been, to really kind of unite all the different eras of alumni. And I think AJ is doing a heck of a job of doing that. And I also love to see guys who played IU, where we all share that same kind of thing, and then see what they're doing now. To have government officials, NBA guys, doctors, lawyers, things like that. It just shows you, man, that that fraternity of brothers, that kind of how special it is, and kind of legacy that they're still building on.
Right. It's been fun, man. You're just churning these out, man. I guess there's a lot you can go through. You can go for a while. There's a lot. There's like what 90 players.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you can go different angles, and that's as I jumped out the gate really, really fast, really, really early. But and now it's about reimagining it, and and taking a different angle. So and in order to come back to that, so I don't want to just do the same thing over the next year, and sure this year is coming to an end, but there's a whole host that we can start with next year. So I'm excited about being creative with it, and you'll see me come up with some different angles in the next couple weeks.
Suggestion: go to the older ones first. While they're still around, man.
Right. That's a great.
But I wonder who's the. It'd be good. Who's the oldest living name? I wonder that we would know. I have to research that. It's very. It's
right.
A good
That's
thought.
interesting, man. One person I want to find is I think it's George McGinnis. Is that his name?
Oh yeah.
That'll be.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Find him, man. That's who I'm looking for. Because being an African American back in those days, and
when we get off, I got to take care of.
Okay,
he's been on the show before. George McGinnis. Oh my God! Both of you start researching this dude. This dude was the baddest of the bad.
You're right.
He left Indiana early. He had, for hardship. I think his father died, if I remember correctly. This dude was bad. I mean, bad. He was. I don't know how many records he would probably hold at Indiana had he been here. He might be the all-time leading scorer without the 3-point shot.
Right.
Mind you. I mean, he was just back in the days of 22 points and 12 rebounds average. George McGinnis was just a man. High school. Look at his high school teams. Oh man, the Indiana high school teams back then, they were nuts. He was a dominant force from the word go. Yeah, one of the possibly the greatest player to ever come from the state of Indiana. I mean, you got Larry Bird. That's a big. I mean, he's in that category. He was a great one. I mean, gosh, loved him. It's played for the Pacers back when they were the ABA Pacers, but that was a great era of the ABA back then. Dr. J and all those guys in the NBA. They won, I think, 3 ABA championships. So Slick Leonard, there's another one for you, AJ.
Slick Leonard, I've heard of him. Yeah,
Slick Leonard, he played at IU. He's the Pacers guy. He coached at the Pacers. He does the boom, baby. If you ever heard that, that's by Slick Leonard, baby.
Yeah, I like that. I'm writing them down. I got them in my head, definitely. I know you got the contact, so this is gonna be easy.
It's just fun, but these guys are just fun. It's just.
That's what I'm looking for. I want guys fun and just telling those stories, man, over and over again. I don't care what show they've been on. Tell them again, because
George McGinnis. You hit that because I can't. Because when I have people on, it's usually 15, 20 minutes, and we can't do a lot. And it's not like a podcast where you can just go and you really. And it's easier to get people into a more comfortable situation. And George on there would be great because, like you said, man, he was doing this in the 60s. I think he's in high school in the late 60s, and so he went through a lot, but he was a bad man. Was a bad man. One of the best ever.
I agree.
But it's a great one. But so much fun. I'm gonna have fun just suggesting these, man.
I see. We got Jim excited, Verdell.
Great guys, man. I love hearing these guys. I love it. I love hearing these stories though, because they're so awesome that when you hear that, you're like, oh man, it is so cool. It's because I just love learning that stuff because the lives that people have gone through are just so amazing and what it leads to, because it changes everybody's path. And that's how we are where we are today.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's exciting. And the times today make it even more exciting that to get on the show and tell your story. I mean, you just with stuff going around COVID and you just never know. Get your stories out there so your families can hear them, so your friends can hear them. I love to talk about their families and their friends because they glow up and they love shouting their family members out. I mean, showing appreciation for the people who've come helped them develop and brought them along. And that's what it's all about. It's not for me. It's not for money or whatever. It's just about getting those stories out and showing appreciation for those people and fans like Jim.
It's fun, man. I have fun. This is fun. Hey, we got to take a quick break, come back and do some more. AJ Guyton, Verdell Jones here on Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more right after this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll send you a number right now. George McGinnis. Bad man.
Yeah. I did some research. I was like, you talking about if he would have stayed. He would have stayed. I think he would have broke college NCAA records.
I mean, this dude was just a scoring machine. Gosh dang. He was only here 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, when did he leave? Like he left. Like, did he play for Knight or did he leave the year before he got here?
I think he left. He didn't play for him. I think, from what I understand, Steve Downing was the first to play for Knight.
No, Steve Green was his first recruit.
He's his first recruit. Okay, and then Steve Downing was his first All-American.
But he was probably on that same team, though.
Yeah, he was on the same team. I know he was either first All-American or first something that Coach Knight had, but I don't think George McGinnis played for Coach Knight.
I think he when he left was the last year that Knight was the first year Knight was not here. Oh my God! If he'd have had him, gee whiz. Then you could have had Larry Bird on top of that.
Bird, man, that's crazy.
Son of a man! I mean, God.
Yeah,
crazy.
Campus was too big for Larry.
Yeah. Can you imagine Larry Bird on those damn 75, 76 teams?
Man, they would have won it like 7 years in a row. Like
undefeated.
Undefeated, man.
If he could take Indiana State undefeated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nuts. I gotta get to this text. Let's see.
What you been up to, Verdell, man? What's going on with you?
Man, just staying busy, trying to get my youth program back going now that stuff's open back up again. And then, just trying to get the renovations on the house done. It's been a process, yeah. It's been a process. How things that way? How's the little girl?
What? Oh, she's good, man. Something popped up on my screen.
Yeah.
Somebody trying to use my Apple ID. I don't know what that means. So I think it's my daughter. She good, man.
Good luck with that, because I don't even know mine. I never know my Apple ID. I'm like,
I know it just popped up on the screen. But my daughter, she's trying to log into something. Crazy because they can use their cell phones at school, man. Like she in school right now. She's like, hey, we can use our cell phone
to dine.
Learn anything, man. Like,
We offer a close animal encounter with elephants and
What grade is
she's
she in?
good, man. She's finally getting a sleep pattern.
world-class golf
Rest a little
and a
bit.
premier resort
Every
experience
day,
that is
get
waiting
back
for you on your next visit to
Right.
French Lick, West Baden.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's good.
Bro, I didn't know your older daughter was a hooper like that.
my was
My
33.
oldest daughter, yeah, she plays, man. She's good. She's talented, man. She can be-
Yeah, I heard some people were telling me about it down here. I had no clue. That's what's up.
We get you on the show, man. When you gonna be available?
Man,
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on the
Talk
Golf
about
Club
this.
and Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Andy Moore Honda Bloomington. 0% sales event going on right now. Get out there this weekend and get you on, because more to your door, AndyMooreHonda.com. French Lake Resort Casino also. Hey, the sports book's open. Lay a bet on the Super Bowl. Who you got in Super Bowl, AJ?
I'm going with the Chiefs, man. I just don't see that. I just think they're gonna score enough points to win. I mean, all of our sports is how many points can you score? It's not about defense. Defense comes in every now and again, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to score 40 points to beat the Chiefs. So I'm going with this.
Here's a stat for you guys. I
Mhm.
saw the other day. In the last 20 years, whenever the number one offense has been in the Super Bowl, and I can't remember how many times that was over those 20 years, but the number one offense has won one time.
I heard that. Yeah.
Defense wins championships.
I heard that, but I think this year that's going to be.
I don't know how good Tampa Bay's defense is.
You know what I think it is, Jim? I think that guys get the Super Bowl. They get tight. I think it's they guys don't want to. If I'm imagining I'm a football player, I'm like, you don't want to make the mistake that loses the game, so you don't want to. You're not as loose, and I think the defense takes advantage of that. But I think Mahomes is special though. So
there's not a sporting event in the world.
Defense wins championships. I agree with you.
Yeah, there's not a sporting event in the world that has a bigger microscope. You got 2 weeks. You got all this media you're doing. It's the biggest, most watched thing in the world. It's like, how can that not play into your head? Yeah, I agree with you.
Man, it looked like it because that first 10 minutes was brutal.
And earlier, man, we were talking Indiana basketball having some tough times right now. AJ, Archie Miller having a rough time of it. They've got Iowa coming up on Sunday, who they had a gigantic win over, but things have just not been going as well as fans would like to see, and it's just winning has just not been there, and it's been pretty disappointing.
I mean, I remember after the Iowa game, I tweeted out, like I said, just enjoy this game. No negativity.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I had a feeling, I didn't know. I had a feeling what was going to happen in the next game. Because I believe that IU is a team that if they played in the early 90s, they would be a lot more competitive because they play a slower game. They play better against the Iowas when they slow them down, and the Wisconsins, and they would play better against the Virginias. They would be in the game because that's the type of game that they're really successful at. Defensively, they can slow you down, but as long as you don't score 85, 90 points, we'll be in the game. We can hang around 70, 68, 75, 72. We cool. So I saw Rutgers, and I knew Rutgers was coming off a losing streak, and I knew they were going to be refocused. And the main thing was they have an inside guy, and they have guards that can create their own shot. And that's a devastating piece of poison against the pack line defense. A person that can create, get in the lane, finish, draw fouls, and I knew it was going to be tough. So I wasn't surprised that there was a letdown and I know it wasn't from the IU team standpoint. I just knew that the matchup was different. So it's always, you have to really just enjoy it when you get those kind of wins. And that's why I tweeted that out, because I knew it was going to be a tough road ahead.
Here's a question for both of you. Forrest says, I've always felt player development is 90% on the players.
Mm-hmm.
What are thoughts on that from both of you?
Go first.
Player development. I think that obviously the players have to be a major part of that, but you're going to get developed. So I think that there's got to be an equal part, Coach.
Yeah, I want to say 90%. I definitely think that's kind of high, because coming from high school, unless you had a high school coach or a trainer in high school that taught you how to become better, you're trying to learn that from your college coach. So you got to be able to, receive things, whether it's, individual workouts or whatever, that's giving me that ability to want to get better. Now, what I will say is that it's on the player to continue to want to get in the gym, whether it's with a trainer after practice, and get better. I use Victor Oladipo as a prime example all the time. He was someone that after those long practices, he's grabbing a trainer and he's doing the workouts that Coach Crean and those guys was teaching us, during individuals. So it's definitely both ways. I definitely want to say 90-10. I think that's a huge stretch. But you definitely got to have a coach or assistant coaches that have the ability to get your skill level better too. My opinion.
Got to be a gym rat, certainly, AJ, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree with what Verdell said. It's not 90. It's not all on it. I always believe that in high school, you recognize your talents and you play off of those abilities and those talents. It's not really about player development in high school, but when you get to college, you really learn how to work. And that's where the coaches come in. They put together plans for you. So there's that organized piece of work, and then after that work, that's when it leans on you. When you're done with those coaches for that 45-minute to an hour workout, depending on how angry they are, sometimes they turn into 2-hour workout. But when you're done with that, it's not over. Do you go to the gym? Do you go? I used to go to the hyper and play. I wasn't supposed to be playing, and that's what
You went to the hyper and played.
Oh, absolutely. I love the game. So go to the hyper.
We did too.
You just go to the hyper and get shots up. You get bored at night. We didn't have the key cards, the 24-hour access. So
didn't have a cook hall
get in there where we fit in. You struggling after the practice? Do you get shots up? Do you just focus on one thing? Because sometimes in player development, players focus on things they really don't do very well the whole workout. So if I'm a guy like Anthony Leo, I'm going to make sure that when I get a shot, I'm going to knock it down. I'm going to start there. Then I'm going to add a 2-dribble pull-up. Then I'm going to add things as I get older and I get more experience. But the first thing I need to do is when I get shots in the game, I need to be confident and take them. So it's a matter of what they're doing in their workouts as well. It's not all on the coaches. It's a team. It's a team effort when it comes to player development in the college game. When you get to the pros, it's all about you. But when you get into college, it's a team effort. But what do you do extra that will get you an advantage on your opponents? And that's where that comes in. That I really believe that's one of the keys to become the best version of yourself is what do you do extra outside of what the coaches ask you to do.
And I think that's been a knock on this team. Don Fisher, I think it was last year, he talked about this team did not have gym rats. And now that they do have cook hall, they got the card swipes, can go in anytime. Yeah. I don't know, obviously, who's in, who's not. We saw a picture recently of Anthony Leo in there early in the morning after the win at Iowa, I think. So, but I don't know how much of that's going on. But yeah, I mean, you just have to live in there, and that used to be the case for these guys. And I'm not sure that if it's maybe the workouts are too hard. I don't know what's going on because we're not in there. But obviously, whatever it is not quite working at the moment.
All right, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it falls down on can we score points at the end of the day? Can we put the ball in the basket enough to go with our stellar defense? And I think that's the area that we're struggling. And it looks to me, and also outside looking in, I have no insight on it. I haven't talked to anybody, but it just looks mental to me. It looks like guys are passing up good shots. It looks like there's an emphasis on moving that basketball and getting quote unquote the best shot. And I think, and I'm not I want to be too critical of what they're doing. That's just what it looks like. And there's no free flowing, confidence. Everything is kind of starting to be, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm watching enough games. I know where the shots are going to come from, who's going to take them and what they're looking for. So, we're not there, so we don't know. But, from a player standpoint, it just looks like a lack of confidence in what they're doing offensively.
Unfortunately, the defenses seem to know that very same thing as well, because we've heard that comment made several times. We knew exactly what they were going to do. They have become that predictable. Purdue said it. Some players said we knew what they were going to do, and boom, they stopped. And so if you're that predictable and you're that elementary, things have got to change. But it's really late in the season to be making a change. So
yeah, I think it's too late in the season to make a change, man. That's what I loved about the motion offenses and the continuity offenses, whatever that may be, is that it's hard for coaches on the opposite side to prepare for that. It's easy for them to prepare for flex offenses and continuous ball screens. To negate it, all you got to do is switch. And then if you don't have guys that can break down people to get in the lane, you're going to struggle to score. It's going to be the Big Ten is already a struggle anyway. And then to run an offense and what people don't understand is Big Ten has the best coaches who prepare for games. I mean, when you top to bottom, these are multi-million-dollar coaches who really, really know how to prepare for games, because that's just the way it's been for the last 30 years. So, I really love continuity offenses, and I would like to see next year Indiana get back to that.
Hey, Verdell, what you got coming up this weekend, man?
Man, just like I said, staying warm, finish up the house.
Good luck with that.
I got some painters coming in the next 5 minutes. So after I get off here, I'm going right to the work mode. So that's probably my job for the whole weekend is get the house done.
AJ, how about you?
For the weekend, man, I'm going to focus on the podcast and see how we can reimagine things, switch it up, do some different things, man, and keep the people excited about it. It's just doing very well, so I want to keep the momentum going. I don't think I'll have one on next week. what I'm going to attempt to do is just throw out reminders of the ones that we had all next week for the new people who have followed us and joined us, so that they know. And then, and build up from there and get my boy Verdell on. That's what I want to do.
You gotta let him catch up, man. You
absolutely,
great,
I noticed
great stuff.
You're right, man. I was like, damn, I'm going too fast. I told the dude,
I told you, I was like, slow down. But I was like, man, you put that man. Like, we can't keep up with all that.
No, I can't even keep up. You start naming, I'm like, oh, I had him. Like I should be remembering who was on the podcast. I was hoping you didn't ask me who was on the last two, because I didn't remember.
Who's on? Yeah. So one guy I forgot to mention was Kristen Lander and his development here of late. Loved seeing him. He's getting the minutes, and when he's gotten the minutes, he's been hooping.
I like what I see, man. I'm tired of people talking about he don't play defense. If the whole team ain't playing defense, why he got to play? Let's go out. Let's push the ball. Let's see his creativity. Let's see what he can give to this basketball team. I think he can give it a new dimension. I think he can give it some energy. I think if he's a guy that he's a rhythm guy. Like it took me about half the season my freshman year to find my actual rhythm. Like I was playing solid basketball, but I wasn't the AJ that I became until Big Ten season came. And then I got a lot of minutes. I kept getting better. That's what I want to see from him. And I think I'm watching him. He's a rhythm guy. He's not a guy that you can yo-yo in and out the game. You got to play him. You got to live with some of his mistakes. And I think he can get in. They talking about how young he is. That stuff doesn't matter. It's good for him to be young. So and he get another year back if he wanted. So who cares if he won't? Let him.
He got extra.
Let him play, man.
I'm jealous, man.
See some good stuff. It's frustrating as a 5-star recruit when you feel like that and you don't get the opportunities that everybody else is getting to prove that. Once you get the opportunity to prove it and you don't do it, then you're okay with that. You can live with that. But not, playing the way he had been played, I think mentally it started to get in his head, and they got to figure out a way to get it out.
Well, I got 2 6-stars in here with AJ and Verdell Jones, man. I can't thank you guys enough. Well, I hope you guys have
Jim. I was 2.5 in high school. Like I was 2.5 stars.
See, that's player development, baby. Player,
right?
Exactly.
Turn into an NBA player is craziness, man. You guys have a great weekend.
So totally 5 stars between me and Verdell.
Right.
Wait a minute. No, between the 3 of us, we got 5 stars.
We got 5 stars.
Yeah. Man, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I hope you have a fun weekend. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you guys again next week.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Verdell Jones, AJ Guyton, I'm Jim Coyle. Hey, go out and do something nice for somebody. Please remember to wear your mask. And until Monday or Sunday after the game of Todd Leary, after Indiana hopefully beats Iowa, we'll be back then. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Be on the radio. Good to see you. Hey, Verdell, man, what can I get you on, brother, when you're available?
Man, when do you want to get on?
It's up to you. I mean, we can do Monday, Tuesday, we can do Sunday. I don't care. It's up to you. You
All right.